what's a concept you've always wanted to make a video on, but you haven't done yet?
I know I've saved one or two of yours because I know there's been a couple of your videos
Ooh.
that I've had like sitting on my idea list.
Yeah.
It's like, again, it goes back to what's going to get views. And if you post
Right.
something, if it's informational and it's good content, but it's not, something that is going to get people's attention, it can be the best content in the world. It's not going to get any views. I mean, what's it matter at that point?
Yeah.
Story of my life.
I think you had the one about the market's going to crash at some point and people are never going to come back. That was one that
Yes.
I thought was really well said and something that I had on my list and had been able to find the right words to make it worthwhile to post. I don't know. I keep a list of I had a list on my phone of probably like 200 ideas, things I pick up in podcasts or books or, years of experience or whatever. And then I keep like little sticky notes all over my office. And then I constantly like look through them and try to come up with the way. Like I'm doing these silly skits now, and just because it gets more engagement, and I can get the same.
And it
concept
makes
across.
sense. The skits actually make a ton of sense because
They're
once again,
great.
going back to experiential learning, it makes a ton of sense to explain something through a skit because it helps, it fires that like human relationship aspect of
It's
the
like
brain.
it's like a conversation instead of being preached at, I think.
Yeah.
The stare and the monotone voice to get the attention like you do, Josh. But got to pull out any trick I can.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that if, this is why educational videos for kids aren't just someone sitting and saying, you should never try heroin. It doesn't work, If you make it more relatable to the everyday experience, you're going to get much better results. Especially with TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, all of us know that a majority of the people watching us are young adults or younger. So it's really important to try to get these videos created in a way that speaks to their life experience up to this point. Like, how many people watch a video like mine? Like, I do a lot of really educational 1-minute cram sessions. And the amount of comments I get from people just dismissing the whole thing by saying, shit, I'm 16. It's like, no, I need to step back, right? There is a way for you to get into this. And I forget that not everyone knows what I know from my life experience, that there are custodial and guardian accounts.
That's what's tough is how high level do you go and how deep do you go? I mean, one thing that I have to constantly remind myself is basically once you learn something and it becomes obvious to you, you immediately assume that everybody else knows it right then too. And so like you were talking about that marketing video that I did about the cups.
Right.
Literally when I made that video in my drafts for a few days, I didn't have anything to post that night. I showed it to my wife. I said, this is stupid. Nobody's going to watch this. Everybody already knows this. She said, just post it, leave it up for an hour, see what happens. And maybe it'll do something. So it's like, okay, so I posted it and then it ends up getting like 6 or 7 million views, which just like shocked me because I almost deleted it. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I think
the number of gems that have been deleted on this planet because of that exact instinct that you just described. God,
too many.
I showed it to my wife before I deleted it. I said, I'm just going to get rid of this. And she said, no, just post it, see what happens. But I think that the good thing about both of your accounts is that, you get your own unique style. Like Brandon, I mean, your quality is everything else is just, done on the phone. And so you've got, when it comes in, it's your video. And obviously, Josh, you've got your deal that you do. I think it's good. If you're not going to be flashy or do something, I shouldn't say super creative. I don't know what the right word is, but something that's like clickbaity, I guess.
Yeah, you're neat.
Well, I think what you're describing is just doing your thing, doing the thing that you can manage well. It's really weird. A lot of people now are asking me about how to make stuff, how to make something that's good, how to make the right thing. And I always come back to production over perfection in the idea of figure out how to make a lot of stuff instead of really good stuff. Because the idea is when you go to make things, you don't know what you want to make. You think you do, but you don't have enough skills to actually know what you want to make. So if you go make a lot of things, then you'll have some experience in making things. And then you turn
Yep.
yourself into the production machine. And once you're the production machine, you can start steering it in directions. Like you've made so many videos now, you have a better idea of what you want to make next as a result. And it's
Yeah.
starting to go in certain stylistic directions and it's becoming your thing. And I
Right.
go back to that over and over again. I think it's so valuable to it's a silly statement, but just to simply make a lot of things. I think it's incredibly useful.
Especially early on. I mean, you've got to. My first handful of videos was just me recording a screen, and I had no idea what I was gonna do, and
Right.
so yeah, you definitely evolve, and um, I always struggle between the quantity versus quality aspect. But like I said, I mean, you never know what's gonna hit. I mean, there's an account, John Finance, that he'd been posting for months and months, and then posted one day he went from like he had like 70,000 followers, and all of a sudden he had 800,000 followers on one video. It just blew up, and so I mean, just you never know when something like that's going to happen. And his video was, I mean, it was good, but it was just like, hey, if you're 18 and you want to have good credit, you probably need to get a credit card.
Right.
Follow me for more,
Yeah.
and that's what did it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
One of the unexpected gems of my channel wasn't one of my best performing videos, but I never expected it. Was a conversation me and Josh were having about the differences in the types of IRAs that you can open, right? A traditional versus a Roth. And
Right.
the idea that me and him both had this perception of,
Yeah, this was
oh,
something
well,
I didn't know.
yeah, it was like, okay, so, one of these is taxed before, one of these is taxed after. So I'll do the one that gets taxed before so that I don't have to worry about it when I, take it out later in life. But the thing we realized was, well, if we don't pay the taxes until we get to the end of our life when we're ready to pull that out, we pay in that tax bracket. We crunched the numbers. We found out that we made $200,000 more on that specific example almost every time. There's like very few situations where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean that's traditionally been the benefit is you're taxed at a lower rate, presumably at the time of retirement.
Right.
I still do a Roth though because you don't know what taxes are going to be in the future,
Yeah.
Right.
and especially with our
Totally.
current spending and debt situation, they're probably going to be higher. But I mean, we don't know for sure. But
Right.
my deal is when I get to retirement, I want to see a number and say that's my number. I've got it free and clear, Even though when I've run the
Yeah.
numbers on my own finances, traditional works out by like, a couple $100,000 better that way too.
Yeah, I mean the psychology of it is a big deal for sure. I think the thing that bothered me the most was that I've read a pretty good number of personal finance books at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I've read quite a few, and it amazed me that they weren't in any of the ones that I read. And looking at it, I'm not gonna immediately say that this is what it was. It looked like it was a mistake of the authors who wrote the book had a lot of money. And if you have a lot of money, the Roth IRA is absolutely the right choice.
Yep.
And it's like these are personal finance books that are written for people that are often at a slightly lower income. And it's like that's some useful information for some people, I think. And
I mean,
I never spotted it. It blew me
I
away.
mean, it's like most things. It's nuanced. Everybody tries to go for a
Yeah.
single answer, and I see it all
Yeah.
the time. I get the question Roth or traditional, and I always try to
Yeah.
point people towards a calculator. Run the
Yeah.
numbers yourself and see because there's
It's good.
calculators that'll like extrapolate, retirement
Oh, yeah.
taxes too.
Yes.
But I see that from other creators. I mean, not trying to throw anybody on the bus, but they'll always immediately say Roth's better, but
Yeah. And I would have
usually
said Roth
I would have.
until our
Yeah.
we had the conversation. Yeah.
and you're talking about, I know a couple $100,000 sounds like a lot of money, but ultimately we're talking about, extrapolated returns and everything. It's really not usually that much difference. And so I think unless you got a unique situation, it's probably not going to matter that much. That's why I trend towards Roth, just because I want to know what I have and not have to worry about future taxes and everything when I'm 65.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, traditional gets a better app, I think.